you are a 2-time published author, special effects makeup artist, wife, mother of 2 young boys, and a podcaster. Is there anything that I left out?
My full-time job.
Yeah. I mean, that's quite impressive for 25 years old. How do you manage to balance all of that out?
So a lot of what I do really quickly. I'm a fast worker. Some of the things you mentioned are more of an escape for me. So yes, I have a full-time job. I do this during the day. I love my job. But in the same sense, you know, life itself just can become overwhelming. And so writing, podcasting, getting out there doing makeup for people, that's just stuff that I like to do as a getaway. It's something that I've grown a passion for since I was a kid. And I make time for it. It's not something I do every day, but it is something I like to do when I get the chance to.
You've written 2 books. There are a series, and you have a 3rd one that you're working on as well. How did you start with writing books? Did you start that young? Or
I was very young when I started writing. Ever since I can remember, you know, maybe 2nd grade, English was one of my favorite subjects. I started writing little short stories, and I would give them to my teachers, and my teachers would always be so infatuated with what I was writing. And so I kept doing it throughout the years. And when I was probably in, I think, 5th or 6th grade, they come out with a website. It's called Wattpad. It's now an app and a website. It's very popular. And some of my unpublished, unfinished, chaotic stories are out there still. But I used to just write on there for fun, and I'd help and I'd review other people's, I'd edit for other people. And as it kind of went on, I just continued to do that. And I've done it my whole life. And I finally got the courage built up to put it out in the world for other people to see. So I told myself when I wrote it, I was like, I really enjoyed the plot line. I thought it was a good story to tell. And so I had shared the first few chapters with a few of my close friends, and they loved it. And so when it was finished, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to publish it. And I didn't think anybody would buy it. I never in a million years thought people would enjoy it. It was really to say, I did it, you know. But it ended up, the first book ended up selling over 100 copies. And I mean, for the most part, got really good feedback. I think the worst feedback I got was like a 3-star review. So I'm not that mad for it being my very first published work.
And then I know you had book signings and stuff like that at some of our local bookstores here in Central Arkansas. Is it surreal going in and signing books? I mean, something you put together, people bought, and showing up, it's autographed?
Oh, yeah, for sure. That was actually a really fun experience for me. I saw lots of faces that I've known for many, many years. Some I haven't seen in years. Old coworkers come by, but then there was people I had no idea who they were, you know, coming in to talk to me. They were coming in to just shop around the store, met me, and bought the book. And they're messaging me, you know, when's the 2nd one coming out? Or so there was a lot of really cool experiences. I met a lot of young teenagers, and a lot of those same teenagers have reached out to me and said, you know, I want to write. I think that's cool. So I'm glad that I could be an inspiration for the young kids.
Oh, that's great. That's a really good story. Now, where does your inspiration come from for your stories?
It comes from a variety of places. So sometimes it's just an off-the-wall idea that I'll get driving home or during the day. Sometimes they come from my dreams. There is some of my older works that are based on dreams and nightmares that I had. And then other times it's just, you know, I'll read a story or a book and it just really catches my eye. And so I'll just take that and make my own twist on it. So it comes from a variety of different places.
What is your next passion?
So after the Phobia Killer series is wrapped up, because the 3rd book is in the works, once that's wrapped up, I do have another story that I'm working on. It's kind of a dark, toxic romance, which is completely off the wall for me. So I don't know if anyone will ever see it, but it is something that I'm working on. But also working on the Para Arkansas stuff, podcast, building that social media platform. We're going to be talking a little bit more about some history of some, haunted places and places with some, extraterrestrial or paranormal background. And I'm really thrilled to get that going. And, who knows, maybe I'll write a book about that.
Now, the special effects makeup. Now, how did you get involved in that?
So this is actually the funniest little story. Many, many years ago, there was a show on Sci-Fi that was called Face Off. It was a special effects makeup competition. The very first episode I watched of this show because I loved sci-fi growing up. And when I saw that episode, I was like, I want to do that. So I started looking up how to do that at home. And I mean, using Elmer's glue, rubber cement, tissue paper, like it looked like a lab experiment in my mom's house. And my poor friends went through the ringer with me. Rubber cement pulls hair. They learned that quickly. We had bald spots on our arms, faces, necks. But growing up, I had watched that show so much that I loved it. Well, then when I was 15, I think I was 15 when I started at a haunted house. A little local haunted house was like, hey, we need a makeup artist. So they kind of took me under their wing. I did makeup for them for a few years. I'm still in contact with them. I still will occasionally go out and do some stuff for them. And I've connected with a lot of people. I know almost every haunted house owner in the state of Arkansas personally. And I've taken classes in Chicago with one of the face-off winners. My favorite face-off winner, actually, Anthony Kozar. And he was such a good instructor. He had so much information. It was super fun. I have several special effects makeup artist connections now. I mean, then they work in Hollywood. They work out in LA, Chicago, Orlando, and all of these different places. And so it's a really fun network. In another life where I didn't have a family, that might have been my career path. Special effects makeup has been a big part of my life. And for everybody that I've met through it, I adore them. They're all so kind.
What do you prefer to do? What do you most enjoy?
That's really hard because that depends on the day.
I understand.
As Sam, my husband, would say, it depends on which personality you're talking to that day. Sometimes it's writing, and I think it's really more circumstantial because special effects is very hands-on. It's very up close. It's very personal, detail-oriented kind of stuff. And so you've kind of really got to be in the mood to deal with it. And then there's days where I just kind of want to sit back and relax. And I think that that's where my writing kind of comes in. We've talked about building me a little studio out at our house so that I could start doing mask making and costume making. I've done some mask making and painting and stuff. I've done costume construction. It's getting the time, the resources, and the space to get it done because it's very time consuming and it's very space consuming as well. So, but it is something that I've considered.
You've inspired not only me, but I believe you're going to inspire tons of people.
Oh, yeah.
I really believe that.
I just had a friend actually who, me publishing my books inspired him to go ahead and publish his very first book.
Exactly.
So he had me read it and I did editing for him and I designed all his cover art for him and he just published this last week. So we're really excited. I think, and I love hearing those stories. So if in any way I've ever inspired anyone, I'd love to hear that story.
Exactly. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what else you have in your future and to show us. And I appreciate you spending some time with me today and visiting with me about what Kayley Henderson is all about.
Thank you.
We'll definitely, link all your information and so people can contact you.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.